evening. Demon Phil here with the DemoNation. We got a hell of a show coming up tonight. First off and foremost, if you'll let me know if you can see and hear me, I'd appreciate that. And then we'll get some shares going in here, and then we will get going here very shortly. So if you'll let me know you can see and hear me first off, and then let's get those shares going. Let's get some more people in here. Have some fun with this. And tonight, of course, I am sporting a new look here. Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, and look, there's Steph Wilson jumped in right on time, too. All right, so Lisa, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Steph is in here. Dan must be in here as well. Dan, I appreciate you being in here. Steph says coming in good. I don't know if that's a lie because you can actually see and hear me. That means I'm coming in that you can see and hear me. It doesn't mean it's good. And we've got Dan here. Appreciate you being here, Dan. Christina says, good on YouTube. Excellent. And of course, okay. Steph, that's not for you. That is for my girl, Chris. And Dan says, hi, Steph. Excellent. All right, let's get some shares in here if we can. We'll give this about another minute, and then we will get going on this. And Chris, appreciate you being here as well. All right, we've got a good little group going on here. So we'll give this about another minute, and then we'll get started. And then we'll get my guest out here very shortly. Appreciate everyone being here tonight. Hope y'all had a great day, being productive. And hopefully nobody's getting too riled up with the current situation that's going on the TV right now, of which I do not speak on my shows. So I didn't speak about it. No rule broken. All right, so we're at that time. Let me go ahead and make this official. Hell of a show here, and we are going to have a hell of a guest. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and start by thanking my sponsors, because I have some that I'm very proud that I do and very honored. So we're going to go ahead and start off with that. So let me see. What did Steph say here? Hang on a sec. Marseille won't be here. She went to bed. She'll pop in right at the very end. That's usually what happens with that. But I appreciate the support. Either way I can have it. Appreciate all of my supporters. All right, so sponsors. First off, we have got Totally Rad Comics, which is Jim E. Noble, which has the Garvey Halloween covers on his online store right now. If you need that, a link to that, get with me or get with Jim E. Noble, and we will be glad to help you out with that. Codex Entertainment, which is Luis Torres. He currently doesn't have any projects going on, but I've seen some things he's working on that I will not speak of, and I will not speak any further of that. But just telling you right now, whenever he does hit that launch button, you want to be there. 183 Degree Studio, which is Kara Nicole, Alpha Trujillo. Right now, they currently have the Cause Lingerie calendar going, which I believe is in its last days. So if you haven't jumped on that project and you want a 2021 calendar that will go ahead and wash away the aftermath of 2020, shall we say, then that's the calendar you want to go ahead and grab hold of. Naughty Fairies, which is Wendy Steen Shaner. Wendy doesn't have any current projects going on at the moment of her own. However, Comic Unity 2020 right there, online convention. You know enough about it. If you don't know, then you need to find out. That is going on Kickstarter. I believe they're in their last 13 days, if I'm not mistaken. Wendy Steen Shaner, Tom Hutchison, CB Zane, the trilogy that has put together this event here. And it is not a Kickstarter, just, grab a book and go. It is an event in which I believe on Saturday we start voting, or at least get the pictures of all of the cosplayers that are involved for the cosplay cover contest that is going on. So do not miss that. But the only way you can vote is if you back the project. So do not forget that. And then, of course, the Third Empire, which Third Empire banner doesn't have any current projects going on right now. I will let you know as soon as they launch their next one. It looks like it may not launch until the beginning of the year, but it could be the Mojo Rising Origins is what I'm looking at. So I will let you know as I get definitive proof on that. And then we also have Nine Realms Publishing, which is Elysian Fields Pyramid Gambit. This is actually one that I am working on the marketing on this one. So Dark Enterprises is working on this. It is I and Lisa Malone working on this one, and it is currently on Indiegogo. So jump over there and take a look at that and back that and support in any way possible. If you don't financially support anything, remember, it costs nothing to use the power of that finger. Hit that share button. And then I've also got Lone Wolf Comics, which has got the Night Wolf trade paperback. Again, doing the marketing on this one. That one has not launched yet. It will be launching in October. This is the first official hearing that you're going to hear about this. You're going to see some posts about that starting tomorrow. And Vlada Dracula Tale by Chris Demiet, which is in here right now, if I'm not mistaken. That will be coming out in October as well. And again, more posts to follow very, very soon. If you don't know enough about it, you're fixing to hear all kinds of things. All right. Now that I am out of breath and I'm tired of being out here and being the only pretty face out here, we're going to go ahead and bring my guest out here. So let me go ahead and introduce Shaun Keenan.
G'day, guys. How you going today?
What's going on, Shaun? Appreciate you being on the show.
No problem. It's midday here, so it's a bit wet and cold, but other than that, it's great to be here. So
it's dark and it's getting colder over here. We actually had like a 30-degree drop since this afternoon, so it's getting all kinds of fun over here right now.
Oh wow! Well, we had snow for the first time here. We don't really get snow where we are that often. So as soon as it hit the ground, it melted. But for us, it was a bit of a novelty. So
that's always fun to go through. Now, before we get too started into all the interview and everything, for anybody that's here that doesn't know who you are, I want to give you just a moment to say who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Yeah, so g'day guys. My name is Shaun Keenan. I run and own a publishing company in Australia called Comics to Movies. We have several titles, which include the Extreme Champion Tournament, which is one of the number one selling indie comic in Australia. We have a sci-fi series called Terra Olympus. We've got a horror graphic novel called Dead Man's Land. And then we've got two new projects that are coming out by the end of the year called Talos of Sparta and Fractured Shards. So I've been in the industry for about 10 years with my business. We did limited edition prints and had a bunch of different artists. And then the last 5 to 6 years, we've kind of pivoted towards publishing. And 2021, we look forward to actually opening submissions and that to start doing publishing and distribution for other indie creators. So yeah.
So you got just a little bit going on, just not much. I mean, you stay very bored over there, is what it sounds like.
yeah, and that's not including the full-time job, because we all know in this indie game you got to have something that pays the bills, and then something that you love and enjoy. So
absolutely. Now, the next thing I want to ask, well, actually, let me put this up here real quick, because yes, I am worldwide for the first time, so I am all the way over on the other side. So the demon has actually traveled to the other side of the world.
down under, it's appropriate, isn't it?
There you go. Now, the next question I want to ask is, how did you get started into comics? I mean, what actually kind of gave you your inspiration to get into there, almost like your origin story?
Yeah, well, for me, I have been reading comics ever since I was a kid. I did struggle with literacy as a kid, so I guess my mum was quite progressive in the fact that she used comics to entice me to read. So that's how I first got into comics, and then pretty much ever since then I've loved the medium. From comics to movies, and me moving from the lover of a fan to into the creating side, it came about 10 years ago after having a pretty candid conversation with my wife. She was like, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I've always kind of fell into jobs that I've done, and I was like, oh, I tell you what, I really love films. I really love comics. Like, I would love to kind of mesh those two together and create something. And that's how Comics to Movies was born. So we did framed memorabilia, we did limited edition prints and all that type of stuff, and then going to a lot of conventions, hanging around a lot of other creatives. That then got my creative juices flowing, and I was like, I really want want to come up with a comic book. I'd really like to publish something. I was very naive in going, oh, this is going to be easy. It's not going to cost me that much money. Oh, geez, those were the days. And yeah, so I came up with the idea of the Extreme Champion tournament, and then published that, and then have never looked back since. So that was about 6 years ago.
Very cool. And Wendy, thank you for being here. Wendy is one of our sponsors with Naughty Fairies, so she is here watching tonight as well. So your origin story gets you basically, like you said, it's one of those things where you've had a hardship and you kind of played through that by going ahead and getting into comics. So comics actually is more than just a stationary, just it's a fun thing for you. It actually had more of a impact on you, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think my passion and drive now is to really change the idea and the concept of what comics and graphic novels are. So I'm doing a lot of, before COVID hit, I was reaching out, doing a lot of talks at schools and with libraries and that, and showing how comics can be quite good for literacy for children that have trouble reading, and how for someone like myself that I didn't learn until much later in life, that I'm a visual learner. So if I get shown something, then I will know how to do it. But to read it and go away and do it, that's not how I learn. It's not the best way for me to be able to do something. So that's where my passion is. And I think anyone in the creative industry is, once you start creating something, it's like you open that floodgates, and there's a never ending ideas of stuff. You go to sleep sometimes and an idea will pop in your head, and then at 4 o'clock in the morning you're still kind of thinking about it and all the intricacies of the story or the world and all that type of stuff. So that's what I've done. I've opened Pandora's box, and yeah.
Now, Wendy's going to ask a question here. I'm going to go ahead and answer the question real quick before it comes up here. But Wendy's asking where you're from. Obviously, it's Boston, but she wants to know where you're located.
So I'm in regional Victoria, which is the southeast of Australia, in a small town called Gisborne. So I live here with my wife and my 4-year-old daughter Peaches. So it's I've got my own little office here. So I work local as well. So it gives me a lot of time to do the business stuff and the creative stuff. So which is really cool and really handy, especially during this time where a lot of people have lost their jobs and stuff. So
now, the impact that you've had over there, because I mean, we've heard everything domestically over here and all. The impact that you've had over there, has it been to the point where you've seen yourself finding new networks and new different ways of going ahead and getting your books out there and getting the attention?
Yeah, 100%. So for me and my business, Comics to Movies, we lost pretty much 75% of our revenue when conventions stopped. So in Victoria, where I live, we're still the only state that's under lockdown. So we've been in lockdown since March. We opened for a month in May, and then we went back into lockdown. So it's been quite a rough time for us in this state. So we've kind of had to pivot and think of different ways of raising revenue and keep creating at the same time. The last thing we wanted to do was get back to the convention scene and only have what we had at this time last year. So what we decided to do was use Kickstarter to kind of fund our projects. And our first project that we released in March this year, when everything was closing down, we were kind of like, oh, should we really be launching now? That was our most successful Kickstarter yet, when we launched during that period. So we're like, okay, there's still people that want to be entertained. When there was the close down of DC and Marvel, or the distribution through Diamond, we launched another campaign, and then that one went really well. So we're like, okay, well, this is doing well for us. Let's just keep doing that. So that meant that we needed to create more and do something different. So we're now doing a crossover with a video game company. So, so we're able to come up with something different. So, yeah.
And you want to keep it where it's you want to keep that momentum and that tempo, especially with the times the way they are now. You don't want to lose that. Even though the avenues are kind of closing up in most areas, there's always a way to go ahead and reach out there. And that's what I want to bring up. My next question is how important have you found the need for your social media presence to be throughout all this?
Yeah, well, I don't I'm a pretty outgoing guy, but I'm not overly comfortable sitting in front of a camera like we're doing now. So I know that it's really important, and I this has really been highlighted over the last 6 months, that doing these type of things does two things. One, it raises your profile, you get seen more, and you have the ability to reach more people through social media. But two, it's a great way to actually connect with people. So, a Kickstarter page is kind of hard unless you watch the actual Kickstarter video, which I feel less and less people do these days. But unless they watch the video, it's very hard to get across your passion, your motivation behind a project, why you think it's important, all those type of things that social media and videos like this allow you to do. So we've made a really big effort to go on to shows like this, to create our own little live YouTube stream that we do in Australia every Sunday night. So we do that. We give some tips on crowdfunding. We highlight creators like what you're doing, and that type of stuff, because I think you know because we no longer had the conventions, this was a different way to be able to connect with those people, but also let them connect with me personally and know who I am, what I stand for, why they should read our books, and all those type of things.
Absolutely. Now, as far as the YouTube that you have, if you have a link, if you want to send that to me in the private chat, then I'll go ahead and put it in the all the chats for everybody to have as well.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
And yeah, Wendy's asking, she came in late, but do you have an active project happening? And we're about to get to that. That is actually the next question. Wendy is looking over my shoulder at my notes here.
Yes, yes. You're prompting us, Wendy. Thank you very much.
All right, so let me go ahead and get this in the chat real quick, and then we will move on to the next portion here. But I want to make sure this is up here because it's always good to go ahead and help promote anybody else who's having. If you're helping other people, I want to promote that as much as I possibly can, because one hand washing the other and making sure everybody has the amount of exposure that they need. So let me go ahead and put this in here.
Yeah, and the good thing that we've done is we've had a lot of Americans on the show, even though unfortunately it is usually about 5 a.m. For them when they get up to do our show. But it has been good because it then opens up another audience for them here in Australia. So, and that's what we're trying to do is like, yes, we have our own communities, Australia, the US, the UK, but to be able to bridge those communities has been really good. And COVID, with us more inclined to be indoors and doing these type of things, I've found I've actually connected with a lot more people and probably built up a bit more of a actual relationship, rather than that just sell pitch type thing. It's like, oh, how are you actually doing? What's going on in your life? Can I help, or all that type of stuff? So that's what I've been really and I guess when you're always on the road doing conventions and that, you kind of fall into that sales trap all the time. So to be able to take a step back and actually connect with people, I think has been fantastic. So
Excellent. And Shawnee is in here. Miss Shawnee, good evening to you as well. And thank you for being here. And I see a lot of commotion over here because they're talking about Wendy's project being mailed out, because everybody's excited about that with the Naughty Fairies 4 packages. And I want to make sure mine has been mailed out as well, Wendy. I want to know. Give me the notification. I want to do a squee too.
There's nothing. It's nothing like opening the books. I say that all the time, even with my own books. When you get that box and you open it up, I still feel like I'm a 8-year-old boy again. With the first time I got my comic, I get that giddy smile on my face. I flick through and smell the pages, and I touch it and feel it and go, "This is amazing," type of thing. And that whole idea that you've created something that never gets old.
Exactly, exactly. And I don't know if you've seen Wendy online or not. If you did, you would know because she has got the biggest and brightest smile of anybody that I've ever seen before. And whenever you actually get something in from her projects and then you post up that you got it, that smile gets even bigger, which I didn't think could possibly happen. So it is an amazing sight to see that. So we actually enjoy that. It's a good little community that we have, that we all work together and help each other and support each other with all this. And in speaking of that, as far as projects are concerned, you have one that's on Kickstarter right now that I wanted to go ahead and give you focus on with that one, which is the XCT. If you'll go ahead and give us the pitch on that and tell us what that's all about, and then we'll delve into it.
Yeah, so XCT, or the Extreme Champion Tournament, has been around for about 6 years. It's based on history's greatest mythological characters and warriors. It's based in the year 2069, where we have brought all of these characters back to life. We've retrained them and now forced them to fight off for our entertainment in the Extreme Champion Tournament. So that's my series. What XCT Infinity is it's actually a crossover event with a video game called Infinity Wars. So Spartacus is taken out of the XCT universe. He's dumped into Infinity Wars and is now got no idea where he is. There's a bunch of different people telling him to fight against other sort of factions, and it's a story within that universe, which is kind of cool. The other exciting part about this, other than it being a crossover with a video game, is it's a 5-part mini issues, and at the end of each issue, we actually have voting options for the readers, and they can actually direct where the next story goes. So kind of like that old school Marvel versus DC, where you got to ring up and vote on who won the competition. We're going down that avenue. So we're really excited about that. My writer isn't excited about that because he's like, makes it very difficult for him. But we wanted to kind of do something different because I have ran a few Kickstarters before, and we really wanted to throw something out there that was different, that was had a little bit more fan interaction, and so we're super excited about that. And then on top of that, we're seeing XCT characters go into the video game. So the Kickstarter is really cool. You can get both the comic and the actual video game. And we've got Spartacus and a bunch of cards that are going into that game. And it's like a Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering video game where it's you've got a deck and deck of cards, and you play off against either an AI or another person. So yeah.
Now, the basics on this thing as of right now, and whenever I wrote down my notes on this, it's actually gone up a little bit on the funding. It actually went up in the green room. We were very interested in that one. So currently, you're sitting at 3604 American with a pledge goal of 4250. So you are very close to making that goal, and I can see that happening no problem. You have 91 backers, 18 days to go. So there's more than enough time to go ahead and do this. So with everything that's going on with this, you're seeing momentum, you're seeing the tempo on there where you need it to be. We had just kind of discussed in the green room as well about, the past couple of days, everything's been just kind of on pause, and maybe things are going to start picking up again. I'm hoping that's going to be the case, but at least we're seeing some momentum on your side to go ahead and see this start going in. So what's going to be your first stretch goal once you go ahead and fund this? Because you are going to fund. We're going to go ahead and throw that out there right now. DemoNation is not going to let you fail on this one.
Yeah, so I haven't even asked the video game company about this yet, but what our idea is that with the video game, you've got Spartacus as the hero, and you've got a card deck. So what we're thinking about doing is actually adding in a extra character and another card deck that you would get with that video game. So we have had mini stretch goals, which is at each $1,000. We've had a PDF reward tier, which is $9 Australian, and each time we hit $1,000, we actually add a PDF comic of someone else's into that reward. So we've been very lucky with the community for a lot of other creators to provide us digital copies of their books. So at the moment, we're up to six different books. I haven't announced the $5,000 one because, as we said in the green room, it just popped over the $5,000 mark. So we'll add another one in there, and then as well as the other stretch goals, we'll add in a couple of print rewards, physical rewards as well for all those people that pledge at that physical level. So yeah.
Very nice. And Wendy seems to have an idea of why it's doing this, because baseball playoffs started and now people are back on Kickstarter. And of course, a baseball, is that a sport? Yeah. This is my crew. This is what I deal with on a regular basis. I have to watch the comments, but also not pay attention to the comments because they would put me off.
It is interesting, but especially the people that are sports fans, because we've had so little sport for so long, it is like that weekend that it's come on. It's like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to sit down and watch, whatever's going on. So we've got Australian rules football over here, and because of the lockdowns, there's been no crowds and everything. So watching that has been really weird because, like, there's just no sound. They've had to put like fake crowd noises while you're watching it, type of thing. So yeah.
Now, with everything that you've got going on with this, I'm going to go ahead. Let me go ahead and share the screen real quick because I've actually got it set up over here so we can see it. And yes, I am a backer. This is one that I chose to go ahead and do financially on here because of, let me go ahead and show you real quick. This is the standard cover, correct?
Yeah, so we've got, we usually do standard and variant covers, but this time around, we just thought we'd let you choose. So you can, for the physical $15 reward, you can literally just pick whichever of the two covers that you want. So yeah.
So this is some of the interior, so you can see the artwork that's involved, and there's a lot of detail that's in here. And then
we like to do the first 5 to 6 pages of all of our books so people can really get a feel of whether they like it or not. Is it their style? Is it, because sometimes, you get that false advertising where the cover doesn't match the interiors and all that type of stuff. So we've really tried to make sure that people get a really good feel of what the book will actually look like.
And I like the fact that instead of being just squared up all the way across here, and then it also goes into a 3D effect, so it actually draws you into, actually the vortex is sucking him in, but it actually kind of sucks you into the story at that point, which is very interesting because it becomes more of an adventure than it does just a reading material.
Yeah, my colorist Wilson Go has really kind of knocked this out of the park. I've worked with him for quite a while, but when he sent through these colors, I was like, dude, what have you been doing in the last couple of months? Because you've kind of gone from being really good to like that next echelon type of thing. So yeah.
And we've got wings here. Hey, Steph, wings. You like wings. I got to mess with my people. They mess with me, I'll mess with them back. They know that. But I mean, it's really cool because it draws you into the story without having that much storyline to it, which is good. So it's enough to go ahead and get you involved in there without giving too much away.
Yep.
This is the one that I am definitely getting. I cannot pass that cover up. That is amazing looking.
Yeah, so that is an actual cyborg zombie dragon. Need I say more? Like, yeah. And the cool thing about this, and I didn't even realize when we did the cover, but you can actually see all the different little faces on the back of the dragon, of like where this dragon is kind of merged with all these different cyborgs type of thing, which is very cool. So there's a lot of really cool different characters in the Infinity Wars game. So there's a lot to kind of play with in this regard. So
Yeah, that is. I really like the way that looks on there. So I'm looking forward to getting it and then delving into it and seeing what happens from there. Because, like you said, this is just kind of the beginning of the whole universe that's being built up around this. So this is like the handbook to go ahead and get started, and then build off of that.
yep. Yeah, and the good thing is if these are successful, then we can kind of have a play on that. So see, Shawnee, there we go. I got your attention. That's what we want.
I'm telling you, Miss Shawnee, you need to go over there and you need to take a look at it. It's not that expensive, and you get your choice of covers. But yeah, you definitely want to get the zombie cyborg dragon. You can't pass that up.
Yeah, and then this next part is just shows you like what the actual game looks like. So these are all the Spartacus cards within the game. So that's what they look like. That's the select the hero. So the inside of the game and everything like that. So you get to select your hero. You get to select 3 different heroes. Then this is my amazing team. So I'm the creator, but I've got Ben who does the writing and script for me. Alex Malashev who's the artist, and Wilson who's the colorist. So yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of it's not just the book itself. It's because it has the potential and the opportunity to go ahead and grow as much as it is. And you've already sold 7,000 copies over there of the XCT. I mean, that's up there.
Yeah, so we've got 4 single issues out at the moment. We have got one anthology, and we've got a graphic novel as well. And then we just literally finished the second graphic novel and had fulfilled that just a couple of weeks ago prior to the launch of this one. So it's been really well received. So the story takes part in the Extreme Champion tournament, but we've now reached that point where they're outside of XCT. They've all been, dispersed and in society, and what that effect is, and each person does something different based on their own values and everything. So, you've got people who are going, well, there's this one really cool scene that I like in the anthology where the guy walks into the cop shop and Achilles starts killing everyone. And you're like, oh, he's the bad guy. But the dialogue around it is like, well, you guys are supposed to be protecting us or protecting society, yet aren't we part of society just because we're clones or whatever? So you're watching us fight to the death. Who's really the bad person here? And now you've kind of reaped what you sow. I'm out here in the universe, like what are you going to do, type of thing. So I really like that idea of, depending on who reads it and their interpretation of the story, they can come to their own conclusions on what is good, what is bad, and that type of stuff. So it's got a lot of action, but there's a lot more to it as well.
And that's what you want too. You don't want it to be where it's just simply action. It's just eye candy, flipping through the pages and everything. You want to actually have a storyline that makes you, whenever you're done reading it, go, more. Where's the next one? I need more.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part with independent series, is that you'll always get an issue 1. A lot of the times you'll get an issue 2. It's less at issue 3, even less at issue 4. So it's really hard to tell a really good overarching story if you can't produce a lot. So we've moved away from that single comic format, other than this miniseries, and gone straight into graphic novels at about that 50 to 60 page mark, so we can really tell a good story and leave it at a point that, as you said, people are wanting more type of thing. So
Now, let me ask you this, because with the crowdfunding and everything, of course, you've got this audience that's on here and all. What about with a retailer options that you possibly have with this? I mean, how do you reach out to the actual retailers and try to get these books into the stores?
Yeah, so I've done something a little bit different. We've gone through book distribution rather than comic book distribution. So, hence again why we've moved to the graphic novel format, because we can go straight into bookstores. With the comic book stores here in Australia, we've only probably got about 20 in our whole country, so that's not actually a lot in regards to shipping to and everything. So I would manually do that all myself. Now, the hardest part is we've only got 21 million people in our whole country, where you would have more than that just in New York City. So what is very hard for comic book stores is if we're doing Kickstarters and selling direct to the market, it's then hard for them to kind of sell to almost the same people. So you got to be really mindful of, like, what you're doing. So this time around, especially due to COVID and stores not being open in certain cities, we actually provided them with an affiliate link and said, if you can get people to pledge towards the Kickstarter from that link, we will give you your retail amount off that, like commission off that sale, as if it was sold in store. So we thought that was quite a clever way, and to help both the store and ourselves get funding. So we've had a couple of stores take us up on that offer, but not as many as we would have hoped. So yeah.
And that's very cool, because you definitely want to get it in the stores, because they need more of the indie options in the stores for one, but it gives you a whole nother marketing network that you can actually work out of as well, because not only are you going to be selling these through the stores or through crowdfunding, but you can actually intertwine the two to go ahead and double up your efforts and actually work off of both to go ahead and get a bigger market.
And that's it. And I think for us now, it's reaching out to you guys. Like the US is the biggest market in regards to comic books in the world. So it's now us trying to break into that market and see how we can get distribution and that working over there. So as I said, I was very naive to begin with, so I printed off all these comics and I've got them all here. But literally, just to ship them over to America, it would be cheaper for me just to reprint them in in the US. So, there's things like that I've learned the hard way, that we're now setting up, for 2021. That when we do open that publishing window to other people, that we've got that network set up, that we've got both access to stores, distribution through Diamond, book distribution, and that type of stuff as well. So
Now, you've brought up about 2021, and in talking about the future, what do you have as far as the future? Because you kind of mentioned it in the green room, and you saw when my jaw hit the ground, because you have a plan for finishing out 2020 as well.
yeah, so we've got another two Kickstarters after this one, to finish off the year. So this has been one of our most productive, creative years for comics to movies. By the end of this year, we would have done 3 graphic novels, 2 single issues, and ran 6 Kickstarters, which is just crazy. But yeah, we've got an alt history comic coming out called Talos of Sparta. So that's a what if Sparta became the powerhouse of what we know as Europe, rather than Rome. So if they defeated Rome, what would it look like? It's kind of cool because Sparta was never about dominating the world. They were never really interested in expanding their empire. So they're kind of happy with a certain amount of area, but that's allowed other native tribes to then thrive. So you got the Vikings, you've got the Celts, you've got the Native Americans, and then here in Australia and New Zealand, you've got the Maoris and the Aboriginals. So we've now kind of gone, okay, well, how will they all interact if they were then the dominant powers? So very exciting. Again, a lot of action and really enjoying that. So that's going to launch towards the end of October, that one. And then the one that's totally out of the box is we've got an R-rated cyberpunk dystopian detective series called Fractured Shards, and that is actually based off an idea from Spartacus actor Dan Furigel. So he's come to us with this awesome idea. We're going to co-create it together, and we're going to launch that in December. So, and that's very cool, very the boys-esque, a lot of graphic violence, a lot of nudity, a lot of wrongness all round type of thing, but sometimes what the world really is like. So nothing is sugar coated or anything like that. So that's going to be quite interesting. It's been quite interesting writing because it's every time we write something, it's like, oh no, there you want this and this to happen. I'm like, really you want to go that far? And it's like, hell yeah. I'm like, okay, sweet. I guess if we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. So let's do this. So
now, for a series like that, of course, I'm far too innocent to go ahead and look into that. So you're probably just going to have to just let that one pass me by because, of course, again, just far too innocent. And everybody believes that, I'm sure, that's watching this right now. Sure.
With a name like Demon Phil.
Yeah, it's just for acting purposes, of course. Steph Wilson, and I appreciate you. I love you, Steph. I do. I really do. I got to keep telling myself every single day to get through the days on these. Breaking in isn't hard. Phil stumbled into interviewing. He's doing okay. I'm just going to remind you, Steph, and everyone else here, Steph Wilson will be on my show on the 20th of October. So bring all of your heckling, all of your questions, all of your popcorn, tomatoes, all of your fruit that you want to throw, everything. Just bring it all to that day.
Okay, I'm going to pencil that straight into my calendar now. So, yep, bang, I'll be there.
No, but I mean, like I said, we have fun with all this, and if people didn't mess with me on this show, I would think they were upset with me. So I'm actually sometimes I feel like I'm overloved, but hey, they have fun. So, and I never do that on their shows ever. I would never do something like that. So the next thing I want to kind of bring up is with current situation, everything that's going on. Of course, nobody's been to that many cons and all. So what I like to ask my guest every once in a while is, number one, what is the kind of con scene that you actually have over there? Do you have actually, decent sized, good cons that you go to, or how's that been?
Yeah, so I do about between 20 to 25 conventions a year. So we've got one pretty much in every state here in Australia, and we've got two major convention companies. So we've got Oz Comic Con, which is used to be owned by ReedPop. And we've got another one called Supernova. So they do shows throughout the year, starting in March or April, going all the way through to November in different states. So I do those. I like to do a lot of the regional ones and get up to regional areas that some of the smaller shows are really cool, able to interact a little bit more with fans and that type of stuff. Then I do a couple in New Zealand, which is not too far for us to travel. And then the last few years, I've done a Spartacus one in France for the last few years. Hence, Spartacus is the main character out of XCT, so that kind of fits. And then the last 2 years, I've done San Diego Comic Con, and I've done quite a few in Texas. I seem to be a Texas boy at heart. I love meat, guns, and football, so fit in there quite well. So yes, I've done a couple at Houston, a couple in Dallas, small one in Permian Basin, and that type of thing as well. So yeah.
Very cool. And yeah, as far as Texas, I actually I am from Texas, so I know exactly what you're talking about on that because yeah, guns, football, and a few other things as well. So yeah, they're pretty big on cons and the events and what they throw out there. And it's kind of one of those things that, whenever Texas does it, they do it as big as possible, and they do. Uh, but it's one of those things that everyone has a feel. Like you go into a con and it can be the biggest con that's there, but if it doesn't feel personable, if it doesn't feel like it actually is welcoming, that does make a difference in the cons that you go to as well. So that's what I was wondering is with the ones over in Australia, do they actually feel like they entertain the guests that come in, that they actually want to make it an event and make it an experience instead of just a con?
Yeah, I think you can always fall into the trap of just repeating what you've always done,
Mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes they've fallen into that. But the one in New Zealand, Armageddon, they've been really clever. They've pivoted towards having digital guests, so doing the panels and everything digitally. Having one-on-one sessions with the guests rather than the photo sessions. So trying to think outside the box to have people there. And that's also helped the exhibitors because, the money isn't necessarily going into the photos and the autographs. So the exhibitors are then now able to take a piece of that pie. So, I wasn't able to get across there because we were in lockdown, but my mate who lives over there said, he goes, "Oh, this is one of the best shows I've ever done." He goes, "And I have actually nothing new at this show." He goes, "But it's the best show that I've ever done." So I just think with anything that you need to keep innovating and keep changing, and I guess that's why I'm excited about this current Kickstarter. Is we've actually tried to do something different, whether it works or not. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
hit and miss of business, and that you're going to try things that don't work, but then when you find something that does work, then you can replicate that. So g'day Ash, how you going, mate? So he's a good friend of mine, Ash. So but yeah, it is good. They're very welcoming in that, but it is there is no real difference between one con to another, is what I'll say. The people are fantastic in regards to the people that attend the conventions. I'll make everyone feel welcome, and it's quite interactive. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with the year off, whether they come out with a real bang and do some things differently. So it'll be interesting to see.
So what you're saying is, and I'm making sure that Wendy's going to be hearing this because I'm directing this over that way. So what you're saying is security would not just taser somebody just for no reason whatsoever and leave them on the ground, flipping around a little bit. Wendy.
No, definitely not. We don't have any of that here. Although the cops did taser Deadpool on a train because they didn't realize who he was and that he was cosplaying. So a poor kid got tasered
Oh my.
on a train. So it's just, I think it's just being mindful that just because who characters are and that you are you're careful that people understand. So
So what we're talking about is this Comic Unity online convention event that's going on right now. It is much more than just a Kickstarter con thing. It is actually an event, and some people are having a little more fun with it than others, especially whenever they taser me and leave me over there flip flopping around. Again, for no reason, because innocent, of course. I never do anything wrong. But it's one of those things like you were talking about with innovation. That's actually what they're doing with this particular event, and it's a lot of fun, and that's why we bring it up and have fun with it. And it's one of those things that you take this memory with you and you just keep going for years and years. Because I guarantee you, I'm going to get tased again for the next few years whenever they have these events. It's going to happen. It'll be my shtick now. Now, talking about con memories, though, what are some of your favorite con memories that you've had?
Oh wow, I've gotten to meet some pretty amazing people. I got to meet Chris Hemsworth, which was really exciting. Except there was a bit of banter between him and one of the other guests, and they were trying to make me, make him laugh, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to do that. I just want to have my 5 seconds with him and everything. But that was really cool. I got to meet Stan Lee, so I've got to meet him a couple of times. So the first real big convention I ever went to was Dallas Comic Con back in 2010 for my 30th birthday. So that was pretty amazing. Where our conventions were quite small back then, so to go over and have 50 or 60,000 in a convention center, have so many media guests. Like, we'll usually have 5 to 10 now. Now that's kind of blown up to about 20. But over there was like 50 or 60 different. I was just like, oh my god, a kid in a candy store. But I got to meet Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, which was amazing. So, but I guess the most fun that I've ever had is the friends that I've made out of the conventions. I've got a group of about 6 or 7 really good mates that if it wasn't for the convention scene, I would have never met. And I'm very lucky to have them in my life, for the last 5 or 6 years and moving forward. So that's probably the best thing that I've ever gotten out of the conventions. So
Very cool. Now, as far as the Kickstarter is going right now, what is your next goal that you want to hit on there that we want to get to? I know the funding, of course, but after that, what are we doing? Because we're going to hit funding. That's going to happen. I mean, like I said, DemoNation's not letting you down on that one.
yeah, so our first 2 stretch goals are kind of like the always what we hit last time. So our biggest Kickstarter goal was 6,100. So that's our first stretch goal. So it's only $100 over our target, but that's the most we've raised with an XCT Kickstarter. So that's our first stretch goal. And then the back account. So the most we've had is 144 backers. So, and I always say this when we're backing Kickstarters or different Kickstarters, it's not necessarily about the amount. Anything that you're able to kind of pledge, even if that's a dollar towards the project, that actually goes a long way for indie creators. So to get it back up to that 144 or more backers is our second stretch goal. So they're the first 2. We've got some cool things organized for those 2, and then the next biggest one will be that $7,000 one, and that'll be the extra character in the game and all the artwork that goes along with that. So but as always, we like to kind of load people up with stuff so they're getting as much as they can out of that dollar that their hard-earned dollar that they put towards our projects.
Very cool. Now, what I would like to go ahead and do now, I've done this with several other projects, and for some reason, it works very well. I have a good following on here, and they're very good about sharing this out and everything. So I want to go ahead and throw the DemoNation challenge out there. We want this thing fully funded, and I'd like to have it done by Thursday. The reason being is because I have another show on Thursday, and I would love to be able to announce that we're fully funded on this, and we can start moving towards stretch goals, and to show that it's not a matter of me doing it, of the DemoNation. It's showing the unity within the comic industry. It is more important nowadays to go ahead and show that, and we can show that by going in and having creators be funded on their projects. We can make dreams come true. On my birthday, I had my birthday wish of several that I wanted to have funded on there. Every single one of them that I was looking through on there pretty much got funded. I didn't see any of them that did not. And that was amazing to me because we proved that it could be done. So once again, I want to go ahead and make a creator's dream come true on this, and let's go ahead and get this thing funded. If we can do it in 2 days would be amazing, so I can announce that on the next show. And then we can start moving towards the stretch goals and getting excited about this, because I'll be honest with you, I want to see this move towards the next goal of being the game and working into that, because that's something new and different. That's something that's not out there with the normal cookie cutter setup on things. It's thinking outside that box, and I like that thinking, and I want to see more of that. So that is the DemoNation challenge that I would like to see happen with this.
That would be absolutely amazing. So, yeah, we're excited about this because that crossover is really cool, but you don't really see that much in the independent scene, and especially with a video game, it's kind of cool. So you can actually. For everyone that's international, if you're worried about shipping or anything like that, as low as $30 will actually, or 30 Australian dollars, will actually get you the game, the comic, and all that digitally sent to you. And then from $50, you can actually get the whole back catalogue of XCT. So there's over 300 plus pages. Then with the PDF reward tier, which is also included, that there's another 300 pages of other creators' works on top of that. So then you get the video game and everything on top of that as well. And that's all purely digital. So, there's definitely a lot of cool different options out there for people. And we're always open to what you guys think. If there's things that you would like to see, then we're happy to add those on. And we have done that a couple of times. People are like, oh, have you thought about this? And I'm like, oh, well, no. And then someone's like, oh, you had this on your last Kickstarter, but I don't see this. Can you add that on? I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, no problem. So for us, it doesn't actually take that much time to add those things on. So if there is anything that you see, we're more than happy to kind of add that on, if that gives you guys something different and outside the box as well.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Shaun, we've had a blast having you on here tonight, getting to know you, getting to know the project and everything. If you want to give us one last shout out on where we can find you on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop you backstage on this. But this has been great getting to know this project. So if you'll go ahead and let us know, and I'm going to give you the full screen on this, so you can go ahead and do that as well.
Awesome, thank you guys. So comics to movies is where we are on everything. So we've got our own website, which is www.comics2movies.com.au. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's Comics to Movies. On Twitter, it is comics_2_movies, and on Instagram, it's comics to movies. So if you want to reach out to me personally, my name is Shaun Keenan. On Facebook, add me. If you've got other projects that you're working on, feel free to hit me up, and I'm more than happy to share with my community as well. And then if you want to check out our live YouTube stream, it's called Comics to Movies and More, which is also in the comments on the thread. So thank you very much for listening to me and giving me some time to talk about my project.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Shaun. And hopefully, I'll be able to get you back on here with future projects as they come out. We'll just have to see what the schedule is, with my show and everything. But I'm sure we're not going to see the last of you on this one, even with 2020 finishing up and everything. I figure 2021 is going to be a big year for you.
Yes. I think 2020 has been big, but I think 2021 is going to be massive. So, thank you very much, Nicholas. Nicholas was awesome. He's provided us a book, and he was our $4,000 stretch goal reward. So, Nicholas, thank you very much, mate. So.
Very nice. And just what Chris just said on this, welcome to the DemoNation, Shaun, because you are officially.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to drop you backstage. I'll be back there very shortly.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. So we had Shaun up here. We got to know him a little bit, got to know about his project and everything that he's working on, and find out what things are like on the other side of the world. DemoNation was actually on the other side of the world. So that is a first for us. It won't be the last, but it is definitely the first. And it was a lot of fun. Now, I always have a closing statement. Tonight's not going to be different on that. I usually try to go based off of my guests, and I'm definitely going to be doing that tonight. And the one that I like to go ahead and use tonight is innovation. So we talked a lot about the innovation that's on here and thinking outside of the box and doing something that's totally different and unthought of. And he's working on that, and he's definitely leaving his footprint on that. So that is my point on there is whenever you're doing something, don't be afraid to go ahead and leave your footprint. Don't be afraid to go ahead and make it where you own what was left out there. Make it yours, leave your style on there, leave your imprint on what you're doing, and make sure that everybody knows it's yours and that you earned it. There is no right out there that anybody just has the right to go ahead and have the best comic or have the best anything in life. It doesn't matter what it is. You always earn what you're going to go ahead and get. If you don't earn it, then it's just something that's given to you, and it's a borrowed segment, shall we say, because it'll always be taken away. So just keep that in mind as you go along. Make sure you earn what you're going ahead and putting out there. Leave your imprint on there and see what happens. I mean, look what's happening with the DemoNation right now. We're actually moving forward. You're seeing some changes within the show. You will see more changes as we go along. And 2021 has got some huge changes coming up. Trust me, I am working on some deals that we're talking about pretty recently. So until then, pick up your shirts on Etsy, on Wendy's Etsy over there. If you need the link on that, go look on my page, you will find it. Go look on Wendy's page, you will find it. Go look on Comic Unity online, and you will find it. Pick up your DemoNation t-shirts. They will come in more handy than you know. Next year, there may or may not be a certain comic coming out that will be showcasing DemoNation t-shirts. I didn't say it. Wasn't me. So until next time, on Thursday, the 1st, my guest, David Fott, Mel Heflin. We are ringing in October season with October 1st and speaking about all the horror books and everything. So I am bringing in the horror king himself, David Fott, along with Mel Heflin. We're going to talk about their new book that is Werewolves and Water. Yes, you heard me correctly, and there is a certain name for it, and I'm not going to butcher it, so I'm going to make sure they say it correctly. So be here Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern. David Fott, Mel Heflin. Till next time, go get on that Kickstarter, make that DemoNation challenge happen. Let's get this thing funded. Y'all keep it indie.